Okay, I've been muted this whole time. That's good to know. Testing, testing. Okay, I've been muted this whole time. That's good to know. And sound quality's good. I think we're ready to dip in. I've gotten a few new documents. I don't think I'm going to be reading any of them. No, we're not going to be reading any of the new ones yet. But I have gotten quite a few. I've gotten quite a few. So our collection's getting there. Let's see. I unironically might replay Outlast 1 again. That game is so fucking good. It's one of the biggest sleepers, I think. Not like people who do play Outlast like know it's good as fuck, but it's not one of those like super popular games. Oh, it's such a good. The sequel's okay. It kind of, you know. When the sequel came out, I was a little worried that the series would die off, and then Outlast Trials came out, and it's one of my favorite games of all time as well. Possibly better than the first Outlast, I think. I think it might be. Anyway, let's dig into the lore here. So, I think we read through all of the Road to Sinyala, I believe. Yep, just talking about how much he looks up to Wernicke. Cool. So, we do not have this completed. We are missing a single document from Gooseberry and Coyle. So this is where we get into the first stream. I remember I was a little skewed because I think I was talking assuming that most people watching would know what the fuck I'm talking about. I mean, to a degree you can tell what I'm talking about, but it was the fact that I was kind of skipping over things like the prime assets or the reagents and exactly what the parts of the documents that aren't covered within the documents themselves. That's basically what I kind of skipped over. Which is why, right now, right before we get into this next set of documents, I'm just going to lay it out for anybody who decides to watch and it'll look a little confused. We are in a post-Cold War era. We are playing as basically just homeless people. I mean, as we read in the previous documents, Easterman was looking for disposable people and normal people. People who weren't crazy, who weren't super intelligent. He called it the opposite of special. We're looking for people who are the opposite of special, okay? And we also need people who aren't going to be, you know, no one's going to miss them, basically. No one's going to look into it if we take these people. And we're one of those people. And what the experiment is a set of trials that are designed to make us perform some of the most horrific things imaginable to the human mind, with the intention of desensitizing us to the point where we will, and also not just desensitizing us, but also creating this god-like appearance for himself, to where the reagents have nothing really to do but to just accept his word as gospel and listen to him and try to seek his approval through these trials. And then also, like, toward the end, coding a kill switch term. Like a set of words that sets off a trigger, so that when they do decide to let you out into the world, you are basically just a mindless soldier to them. You not even, yeah, pretty much a soldier. You're out there to get into enemy territory and blow shit up or whatever the fuck you need to do, right? They're turning you into sleeper agents, basically. That's what this whole thing is about. The whole goal is to make sleeper agents, and not just that, but just minds that can be released into public that are completely under their control, and they can start hopefully integrating into the culture and taking it over from the inside out. They're trying to take over the world from the inside out. That's what Murkoff is trying to do, and the way that they're doing it is through at least with this project specifically. I think the first one was not quite that. The first one was a nanomachine technology that would allow them to become like basically immortal beings, right? Immortal beings made up of just a bunch of tiny little nanomachines. That's what the be all end goal of the first game's villains were. That project that Murkoff made. This is separate, at least as far as we know. This is separate. This is more of like an integrated political method of taking over the country and possibly the world thereafter using this technology that they've discovered. This method, this weapon of being able to twist and turn people's minds however you want to. And we are not the first generation of attempts at this. So this facility existed a long time, for a good few years, as we read, right? This place had lasted like maybe 3 or 4 years, possibly, maybe a little less, using what we now know as the experimental population. These are the characters and enemies that we can find sprinkled throughout the levels themselves. And these are people that initially they were able to get access to very easily. And the reason why is because they are mentally ill. And back in the day, people didn't really think about the mentally ill. They just kind of put them into buildings and forgot about them. That's basically what we did with the mentally ill back in the day. Some people think we should go back to that. I don't know. Yikes, that's a subject for another day. But mentally ill people like this, especially back then, were treated very poorly. A lot of people were treated very poorly, but they were uncared for, and they were a perfect demographic for these sick fucks to just pull a bunch of people, broken people that nobody, like family members, right? I'm talking, these were people that had families who could not afford to take care of them. They just couldn't fucking do it. So they locked them away in a building and probably forgot about them. They completely fucking forgot about these people because they're so fucked up that there's no way that they can fit in the household, right? And they lock them away, and that's when Murkoff gets access to them. They say, okay, we can buy these motherfuckers, and we can put them in our lab, and we can try all kinds of experiments to try to achieve some form of brainwashing. And that's what they do with the X-Pop. That's what they do with the X-Pop. Now, I think their experiments also involved what we're going to be talking about in a bit here, which is the prime assets. And the prime assets are some of the most influential of the criminally insane. These are characters that have such an allure to them and such a history and such a skill in a particular field that they're capable of manipulating people around them generally to do what they want. And that is initially within two of them, which I think we're going to talk about here, which is Mother Gooseberry and, oh my god, Kane? What the fuck is his name? Oh my god, Coyle. I see it right fucking there. Leyland Coyle. So I think her name is Miranda Gooseberry, or Miranda Futterman, but she goes by Gooseberry. It's a weird, that in a minute here, but her and Leyland Coyle, he was a cop, she was like a TV like character, like a children's television show kind of a Mother Goose, right? Mother Gooseberry. And so she had experience with manipulating children. Interesting. She was very successful at this, to the degree where she was actually, I believe, and I think this is probably going to get covered, but I'm just going to slap it down and be wrong about it when it does come up. I think she was able to convince like a group of children on television, like through the television, to kill their parents or something, like do some really awful shit. And so that's why Murkoff got her. And then Leyland Coyle had a history of having this kind of egomaniacal superiority complex as a police officer. And he enforced his rule over, like, over people on the streets and on the women that he married and killed, and the money which he did for like inheritance money, but I'm sure he also got a kick out of it too. He's a guy that enjoys power. He enjoys that superiority, being being more powerful than you. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he justifies his action through, I'm doing it under the law. You're breaking the law, except in this case, he's also making the rules. So, basically anything you do that he doesn't want you to do, you're breaking his fucking law, and that gives him justification to fucking kill your ass. It's pretty terrifying, and we're going to get into that right now. But we are, going back to the main subject. That wasn't working out because I think they were too fucked up, right? They needed, as they discussed in the previous documents, they needed clean people, normal people, who also happen to be forgettable. People who wouldn't be too missed. And that's what we get here. That's what we get here. We get us. And they put us through these trials, and they didn't want to throw away the previous assets they had, so they decided to integrate them into this new system, which is what we're playing, the trials. Let's get into this. So this is Murkoff Collections Gooseberry. So we're going to be talking about Gooseberry first. Gooseberry at Holmesburg. Secured interview with Phyllis Futterman. Her name is Phyllis. At Holmesburg Prison, north of Philadelphia. Subject near unrecognizable compared to archive photos and mugshots. Phyllis Futterman, along with a majority of inmates, has been subject to dermatological experiments under the supervision of Dr. Kligman, testing commercial products for redacted and redacted. Futtermans have been exposed to carbonic acid, dioxin, and grafts of the infected corpse flesh. Other inmates have gotten worse. Futterman's physical health remains remarkable, even if she looks like yesterday's guacamole. Interview lasted approximately 20 minutes. Brief background, precis on Phyllis Futterman, daughter of dentist Dr. A. Futterman of Philadelphia, P.A., mother out of the picture. Phyllis worked as her father's assistant from a young age, used puppets to distract adolescent patients during drilling surgery. Young Phyllis's hobbies including taxidermy and musical theater. The Futterman's popularity led to a locally broadcast TV program, the Mother Gooseberry Hour, on air as of 1951. Following Dr. Futterman's death, Phyllis suffers hysteria and disassociation. Dr. Futterman's corpse still has not been located. Tone of the Mother Gooseberry Hour shifted. Adolescent audience conditioned through classical application of abuse and praise. Phyllis related as highly charismatic. Adolescent audience become cult-like, engaging in immoral behavior, drug use, and other shenanigans leading to larceny and assault. Police raid TV studio in 1955 on charges of kidnapping and racketeering. Phyllis retreats to the puppetry tunnels beneath, set to use drill to kill 2 police and injured 5 before being apprehended. Sentenced to life in prison at Holmesburg. So she's a terrifying lady. My voice might break here. I'm trying to enunciate myself better because I feel like I mumbled, but I do also think that might just be part of how my voice sounds. And I'm also trying to keep it down a little bit because I do have roommates. Okay. Mother, may I murder? Philadelphia, PA. Question. 2 police are dead and half a dozen injured after a daring raid on the studio of disgraced children's variety show host Phyllis Futterman, known to her young fans as Mother Gooseberry. This is an article, right? Avelinas. Charged with conspiracy to commit murder, kidnapping, and racketeering, Phyllis Futterman has for years now been using her television platform and mall-order dental drops business to hook a generation of children on narcotics, violence, theft, and quite possibly murder. Police Captain Stanley Hode described the so-called Futterland Studios as the most grotesque architectural perversion since H.H. Holmes' Chicago murder castle, adding, the fact that this could exist under the so-called, continues on page 4. I'm going to look up this thing. I'm wondering if this is a real thing he's talking about. H.H. Holmes Oh my fucking god. This is real. Chicago killer. Whoa, hold on, hold on. Hold on, hold on. I'm gonna look at this. So this guy was in the 1800s. This is one of the. This was kind of an OG serial killer here. I always am super interested in the real application, or the application of real life events within this game. I fucking love it. Is American con artist and serial killer active between 1891 and 1894. By the time of his execution in 1896, Holmes had engaged in lengthy criminal career that included insurance fraud, forgery, swindling, 3 or 4 bigamous marriages, horse theft, and murder, known as the Beast of Chicago, the Devil in the White City, or the Torture Doctor. His most notorious crimes took place in Chicago around the time of the World's Columbian Exposition. New Hampshire, hanging. Yeah, this is one of those guys that they hung. First-degree murder. 9 confirmed victims, 16 to 27 suspected. Wow. His 3-story building he commissioned, street in Chicago, Illinois. Details about the building, along with many of his alleged crimes, are considered exaggerated or fabricated for sensationalistic tabloid pieces, with some accounts estimating his body count could be as high as 133. So this was just media being media back in those days. See, hey, the internet didn't invent stupid bullshit in the news, right? Let's be honest. The internet didn't invent that shit. Holmes gave various contradictory accounts of his life. He claimed to be possessed by Satan. Yeah, he was just spouting a bunch of bullshit to get himself out of that situation, probably. Serial killer, book about Holmes, Adam Selzer, really? Just killing several people isn't necessary enough for most definitions of a serial killer. More often, it has to be a series of similar crimes committed over a period of time. Usually more to satisfy a psychological urge on the killer's part than any more practical motive. The murders we can connect Holmes to generally had a clear motive. Someone knew too much or was getting in his way and couldn't be trusted. The murders weren't simply for love or bloodshed, but a necessary part of furthering his swindling option and protecting his lifestyle. Outstanding warrant, horse theft in Texas. Put on trial for murder, found guilty. Ew, what the fuck? Remains of a child, possibly Pearl Connor, a burned gold watch chain, a burned dress. So he killed like in the same way that like Arthur Morgan would kill. You know what I mean? Or like I guess maybe Micah Bell. No, Micah Bell was probably a serial. I mean, maybe like Dutch, right? Not RDR1 Dutch, but RDR2 Dutch. So yeah, this guy was just a professional criminal who, you know, he was like, hey man, these fuckers know too much, they gotta go, bye-bye. He was just one of those guys. He was not like a, let's see, Chicago murder casting. Yeah, because this is described as the most grotesque architectural perversion since the home Chicago murder castle. I don't know, man. I guess that would be comparable though, actually, right? Architectural perversion. Described the so-called Futterman studio as most grotesque. What he saw there, though, was it strictly like the most bloody, disgusting mess you've ever seen, or was it just the idea that, like, oh shit, people have been killed in here? Because that seems to be the case with this guy. He seemed to just kill just so many people in that house that maybe you can get kind of an aura off of that. Just like this, I imagine this just deathly dense aura from being in a house where so many people have just kicked the bucket, right? Okay. Let's get into the last gooseberry one. Interview with Phyllis Futterman reveals lucid and highly charismatic subject. Two personalities on display. Phyllis Futterman, alternating between television persona Mother Gooseberry, a child like Phyllis Futterman, approximately age 14. And number 2, Dr. A. Futterman, her deceased father. She fashioned a hand puppet from a scavenged cafeteria and workhouse scrap, showing a remarkably mechanical aptitude. The Dr. Futterman personality is abusive and violent, but he's funny, and I like him. Both personalities includes lapses into a lizard-brained murderous rage monster. The Mother Gooseberry personality shows remarkable charisma as noted. Despite her ragged appearance, she appears to have had carnal relations with at least 2 guards. Many of her fellow prisoners and staff have fallen under her sway. Phyllis expressed interest in self-improvement and scientific advancements. Says she likes a change of scenery. Phyllis Futterman, highly recommended for trials in Project Lathe. Now we get to Coil. Signal facility, Clyde Perry in Wichita, Kansas. Leyland Coil surveillance. Cross state lines to file report following altercation with Oklahoma law enforcement. Summary below of surveillance research of Sergeant Leyland Coil of Blackwell, Oklahoma. Anecdotal evidence of abuse of animals and sexual assault on a child, leading to military academy education. Sexual assault as a child. Wow. Teenage criminal tendencies kiboshed by recruitment into local Ku Klux Klan chapters. Yeah, so this guy was just a complete fucking psychopath. Just flat out. Just an absolute evil monster. Like, just to his core. Married at age 19, wife dies 6 months later after falling downstairs, quote unquote. Leyland Coil joins the Marines to avoid investigation. Coil serves 2 years honorably on the Pacific Theater, 3 confirmed enemy kills, 2 suspicious American deaths in his company. Oh wow. Jesus. So he used the war as an opportunity to kill his comrades, just to get the feeling. Upon return, the Oklahoma resumes Klan activity, which segs naturally into law enforcement job on police department payroll since 1947. Coil surveillance keeps obsessively complete notes, seems to consider himself vital to history and of great interest to posterity. God, yeah, he has like a god complex straight up. Like flat out. He thinks he's like the pinnacle of humanity, basically. Extremely effective policeman, enormous profit from exploitation of prison labor, extortion and civil forfeiture, multiple commendations. So he was leading that place with an iron fist, huh? Wow. Coil marries a second wife and extorts wife's family. Wife's family dies in electric fire. Wife flees to Chicago, dies officially from natural causes. Body recovered between the 900 and 2,000 blocks of Costner Avenue. Oh my God. What do you mean natural causes? You found multiple... Yeah, her body was in pieces then, right? 900 to 2,000 blocks of Costner Avenue. Yeah, so he chopped her up and he spread her throughout the fucking city. Jesus Christ. Coil promoted to sergeant, marries third time. Wife commits suicide within 6 months via multiple gunshot. Okay, come on. Come on, that's like parody at that point. Wife's family dies within year. All apparent suicide via increasingly violent and convoluted methodologies. Sergeant Leyland Coyle observed standing in field watching lightning storm on 5 separate occasions during surveillance. Coyle displays extreme charisma, extraordinarily popular among fellow police, high standards in Elks Club and VFW. You know, I imagine he kind of got light sentences, if none at all. Like, he might have gotten away with it just because of he's a cop, you know? And the fact that he was with the Klan, so he probably had, like, support. I'm sure he had a support system of people that would, like, protect him based on, like, a lot of the decisions he made. He might have even targeted, like, racially to get that kind of approval. From, like, the higher-ups. Like, I'm sure they wouldn't want him killing members of the Aryan race or whatever the fuck, so he probably played that card a bit. But at the end of the day, I don't think this guy is racist for the sake of being racist. I think he's racist for the sake of, like, hey, this is a good avenue for me to be a violent person and be around other people that are willing to be violent as well. I don't think it's as much the ideology. At least that doesn't seem to be the case. I can't remember. I can't think of any lines he has that are overtly racist necessarily. Not to say that he wouldn't be racist, you know. I'm sure he probably is, but again, I think his main characteristic is just being evil. I think it's just being a complete self-centered evil king. Above all, it doesn't matter what your color is, he is, like, at the height of it, no matter who the fuck you are. He can step over anybody and everybody. He doesn't care. So I don't think he's racist, because I think, again, he puts everybody on the same level, no matter what race, no matter what age, no matter what gender. He doesn't give a shit. They're all lesser than him, and he can do whatever the fuck he wants. That's the kind of complex he has. Leyland Coyle interview. Arranged to meet Sergeant Leyland Coyle at bar on Route 177 under pretense of bribery. Coyle was known and well liked by bar staff and customers, drank heavily and partook of nuts on table. Discovered by Cannard within minutes, and conversation took decidedly violent turn. I had the feeling of being a crippled mouse used as a plaything by a tomcat. I believe that if he had intended to kill me, I would not be writing now. Subject's charisma was, however, undeniable. Sergeant Leyland Coyle highly recommended for Project Lathe. I have 2 broken fingers, lots of bruising, pissing blood, taking a week's recovery in Wichita. Transcription note. Type in telex above stet. Clyde Perry typo Boyle for Coyle, likely an effect of broken fingers or inebriation. Wow. Yeah, Clyde Perry was he was the guy who went out to collect these people. He's the collector of these dudes. He's dead now, canonically. But he was kind of the goat. This motherfucker took a hit. This guy took a hit for the team, bro. He put himself in harm's way. He literally risked his life confronting Coyle and meeting him, just so they would get, like, a good knowledge of Clyde Perry. No wonder they hire this fucking guy. I'm interested in Clyde Perry so much. I don't know that much about him. Okay, we're going back a little bit now. So, Mr. Perry, Telex from the board said you'd have context for me. Context, yes. General experimental population shouldn't be a problem. We have no shortage of lost and damaged men, but our prime assets. Oh wait, Perry, not fucking Coyle. I gave Perry fucking Coyle's voice. I thought this was the interview with Coyle for a second. No, this is Perry. I don't know, but fucking, maybe I should just give Perry that voice, right? Maybe I'll just do that. Even though he's like a clean cut, like, detective dude, I'm gonna give him that voice. So I should maybe try recruiting down at the 4-H. You're joking. Extended silence. Did you read any of the provided materials? I looked at the titties. At the titles. I looked at the titles. Inaudible. What's that? There's something you want to say to me? I would suggest you read Jung's after the catastrophe. At the very least, these prime assets are the countermost pillar of Lathe. The people you'll be looking for are exceedingly rare and exceptionally dangerous. Your only advantage is that they are also quite hard to miss. Cool. Alright, now we're going to get into the X-Pops. So these documents, I believe, are like heavily detail each individual X-Pop. That's why there's so many fucking documents here. So, charity saving. Heading removed. Moses, whatever you think of Easterman and his project, the board is all hot and bothered over the tax savings inherent in populating the trials with these charitable outreach centers. Outreach centers. Charitable outreach centers. Wow. So they just didn't want to have to deal with these fucking nut jobs. These care centers is basically, they were like, look, these are broken people and they're really fucking hard to take care of because each of them is like their own little puzzle. It's like so much work. That's one of the reasons those places were so terrible, is because you have to imagine like one facility maybe managing like upwards of like 200 people. 200 people that can't take care of themselves. 200 people that need to be walked to the fucking bathroom. 200 people that may or may not just have some fucking episode in the middle of the day and start grabbing sharp objects and stabbing people. People who need to be heavily medicated or else they cannot function. If you're working with that many people, I can see these sick fucks going, you know what? Let's just hand them over to this fucking company to do whatever the fuck they want with them. Fuck it. I don't want to deal with all this shit. I can see them, like, the mindset of where that decision came from, but the fact that they did it is so fucked. Like, these are human goddamn beings, and you're just throwing them away like garbage into the hands of, like, really sick people that don't mean any good for the world at all. You are very directly contributing to, like, a potentially horrible future for you and your loved ones, right? Because I'm sure the people working at those kinds of places have loved ones. Because they're working in fields that have to deal with helping people, right? Whereas you go on the opposite end when we're on Murkoff's side of things. We're just dealing with brilliant scientific minds that have separated themselves from humanity. Like, they don't have meaningful relationships. Everything is just business. Everything is just progression, right? They casually talk about mutilating people. Like, and they don't get anything out of it either. It's not like they're doing this out of the thrill of it. They're doing it because that's the job. That's just what you do. That's how we get progress, is by doing this. That's what makes them so terrifying. Anyway, we're getting off track again. The entire cost of running the centers, recruiting volunteers and trucking them to the Signala is a bulletproof tax deduction. Volunteers. I never fucking considered that, man. The fact that these scientists are probably volunteering their work to do this because they're just interested. I mean, you have to imagine there's some sick motherfuckers that are really brilliant and would absolutely kill to be involved with a project like this that is being shadowed by, like, the government, right? Like, you have full... This is exactly like the kind of shit in... oh my god, that one Japanese lab... I forgot what the fuck it was called. It was the one where they did the chemical testing on people. It's very similar to that. Like, I'm sure, like, the scientific motherfuckers and the guards, all the people involved with working there, they had to do it with some morbid curiosity as to, like, whether or not, like, where it would go, right? God, volunteers, fuck me, that is disgusting. And not a bad place to hide all the money coming in from the agency Black Book. Hold your nose and think of the profits. Easterman will sabotage himself sooner or later, and if we get tired of waiting, I have ways to nudge him. Please inform Scarfiotti and Bradley that 37 of the Murkoff Charity Outreach Centers are operational and successfully intaking potential patients at a higher than anticipated rate. They were eager. They were eager to let go of these motherfuckers. They were eager. It was Black Friday when that opportunity opened up. What was the number again? 37 locations, 37 outreach centers. So okay. Hold on. This is changing some stuff. Murkoff Corporation they buy the outreach centers from, I imagine, facilities that were already taking care of them. So that is a little more reassuring that the evil care centers weren't throwing them. It was actually just Murkoff themselves. Murkoff themselves created a system in which they could collect people to be used as testing for whatever the fuck they wanted. That is what a terrifying idea. What a terrifying fucking idea. What if that shit was... I could see this being like a real, thing. Like a conspiracy on the level of the Epstein file shit, right? Literally, a conspiracy on that level. Like a slave trade ring. And it's even worse than slave trade. They're not even buying these people. These people are being dropped off by their families. And their families are, forgetting about them. And they're going to fucking Murkoff. Oh, that changes my perspective a little bit. It does not change it by much, because all of this is just so fucked. Look at that. Look at that list. Any outliers? Milwaukee, Buffalo, Newark, Denver, Memphis, San Diego, Baltimore, God, just everywhere. 7 in New York. 7 in New York. That is... God, seeing the numbers, man. Seeing the fucking numbers. Okay. Let's move on. Jesus. In response to the unanticipated volume of patients volunteering at charity outreach centers, Murkoff has purchased a controlling share in Liberty Meat Hauling, LLC. Effective immediately, our cost of transport for patient volunteers to the Signal facility will be cut by roughly 72%. We can safely transport 50 sedated and hooded experimental population volunteers per cattle car, using trucks only for the last 85 miles from Williams, Arizona. Cattle car. The use of terminology in this game is fucking perfect. They're selling me on how dark this is, man. When they're using terms like cattle cars, trucks only for the last 85 miles. Wow. And that's on a lower budget, too. Expect experimental population volunteers to require extra sanitization. The stink is considerable. Extra sanitization? We will continue to transport beef in cars for return trips. Sanitization of human waste from the cattle cars will not be necessary. Thanks to recent rollbacks in regulations, the savings here aren't significant, but every bit helps. Wow. Well, let's get into this. Each individual XPOP, why they are the way they are, and how they got that way. Oh boy, this is going to be a dark one. These next few documents are going to be pretty hard to read, I think. Classification guidelines. With our pivot to the second phase of Project Lathe, experimental population volunteers, XPOP, volunteers. are to be grouped by archetype and augmentation for assignation and use in proper trial environments. Some details from non-Lathe Murkoff programs redacted for internal security. XPOP will be grouped into the following archetypes. General XPOP. All staff will desist in calling them grunts. Heavy XPOP. All staff will desist in calling them big grunts. Pouncers, screamers, imposters, berserkers, night hunters, pushers. Please note, intake and reclassification is as such. Art as science, psychological and physical traits will overlap between archetypes. Please use your best judgment. Here we go. Here's the general XPOP. Archetype. Lost men. The more important quality for standard XPOP is a high degree of vanishability. The disenfranchised, the lost, the worthless. Think of drug addicts, felons, political dissidents, artists, oh my god, leftists, hobos, and so on. The very nature of charity outreach will attract such specimen. Augmentations, few to none. Minimal bandages, splinters, etc. to maintain basic motility. General XPOP may improvise weapons inside trial. Psychology. My voice is going to be strained. I think I'm just going to do these few documents and stop there for now. Okay. Lesser to average intelligence. Moron, okay. Aggression based largely in fear and generous chemical encouragement. Phase 1 lathe conditioning have made General XPOP extremely vulnerable to charismatic sway and operant conditioning, and they can be expected to commit ecstatically to the guidance of prime assets and their environments. Doctor's note. As the rule of thumb, if you can't classify a volunteer as any other archetype, file them under General XPOP. General XPOP are considered expendable, should be periodically evaluated against cost of feeding, storage, and upkeep. God. Violent archetype, heavy XPOP. Violent children prior to late phase 1, subjects were part of redacted. In conjecture with Los Alamos, late adolescents subjected to hormone therapy and limb extension surgeries for military application. Are they actually fucking children? Extremely altered physiognomy and accompanying strength. Psychology, class example of the stalked elephant. Impossible to control through physical restraints, but conditioned for obedience. Limits of control, however, are within a certain range of violence and perversion. Extremely childish cognitive framework. Doctor's notes. Extremely dangerous, heavy chemical and physical restraints required for transport and maintenance. Be very careful to avoid accidental contact with groin area. Heavy XPOP are easily aroused and difficult to disengage. Holy shit. Childish cognition useful. They will believe anything. Tooth Fairy, the Constitution, Santa, etc. The Constitute, that's a funny one. Okay, that's funny. Wow. The fact that they start just trying to fuck you. They're like dogs. They're like, God, that is, Jesus. Pouncers. These fuckers. Sadomasochistic paranoiac prior to late phase 1 patients at Mount Massive facility were selected for their paranoid tendencies. Higher resting amygdala activity indicated better chance of external scan of orbitofrontal cortex, i.e. mind reading using detailed angiography. Let's see. Subjects have attempted to create personal Faraday cages by pushing nails, wires, and scavenged bits of metal into their skin, leading to Avellino's oft-repeated pain cushion joke. This is like almost parody I will say, like, the degree of evil that these people are is so, like, extra. It's so extra. But, like, I guess it works, right? It fucking works. It makes you hate them. It makes you really understand, like, just how separated they are from what they're doing. Like, for what they're really doing on, like, an ethical level. Let's see. Pouncers will often seek out metal boxes to shelter in, also as a method of improvised Faraday. Self-inflicted shrapnel may provide pouncers with greater tactile proximal sensitivity. Jesus Christ, too many words. Too many words. We have a coin phrase, the Signala paradox, to describe the relief the violently paranoid experience when all their work and most absurd fears are confirmed by experience. In some instances, pouncers have been moving the goalpost of their paranoid fantasies, inventing ever worse future possibilities as circumstances worsen. They are, like many violent people, perfect victims, as with many ambush predators, can be discouraged with a sharp rap to the nose. Doctor's notes. It doesn't hurt to listen to their paranoid ramblings. Their fantasies concerning worst possible outcome futures can provide good brainstorming fodder for future trauma vectors. Oh, wow. Again, man, the fucking language used in this goddamn game. Oh, yeah, these are dark. We're getting in there. Screamers. Extreme sleep deprivation banshee. A gift from our paperclip colleagues at Los Alamos. So-called screamers were developed based on chance experimentation in German camps during World War II. Concentration camp experimentation revealed guided cancerogenerative treatment could greatly alter vocal cords. Subjects were exposed to so-called morphogenic engine therapy and engaged to scream until physiological changes took place. Especially in the false vocal folds and diaphragm, patients can achieve extremes of pitch and volume sufficient to temporarily stun anybody within range. Recreating these results at Los Alamos required use of amphetamines to encourage a waking nightmare state that has resulted in a permanent twilight of non-REM near sleep. Oh, fuck me. Screamers are always sleeping and never sleeping, near catatonic, but extremely sensitive to sound and motion. If startled, will emit a piercing scream that causes immediate paralysis and likely permanent hearing loss. Jesus, fuck. Permanent hearing loss? Patients are experiencing the hallucination, anxiety, and psychosis of extreme sleep deprivation. While at perceived rest, screamers are in a steady decompensation toward greater and greater suffering. Patients experience a brief catharsis with the act of screaming and gain some brief relief from their delusions and panic/dread. Doctor's notes. Ear protection required for all Signala staff within shouting distance of subjects. Easterman expects the screamers to have a calming effect on reagents as they encourage a slower and more contemplative approach to the therapy. Oh. That's a fucking... That's a gameplay thing. They are referencing a gameplay thing. Oh my god. Because remember, like, the players are kind of just as much the experiment as the reagents are. Let's see, now we're looking at imposters. Trickster, General X-Pop who have been given latex masks to imitate reagents. A simple canard, but central to this psychological development of our reagents. Trial subjects must learn that nothing and no one is to be trusted. I think that is the typo. Beside the masks, tricksters are placed in environments nude. They are left to outfit themselves, acquiring clothing from corpses. They fashion small knives from whatever is at hand, often shards of glass, or pits of metal ground against stone until sharp. To focus their utility on guile alone, patients to be developed as tricksters have no other great physical advantage. Psychology. Essentially, general experimental population, they see their masks as an element in a children's game, playful and sadistic. They have the remorseless cruelty of children pulling legs off of an insect. Okay, so these guys are just outright malicious. The other ones seem to attack you kind of out of fear or just like erratic violence, whereas these guys are more just like psychotic. They're looking for you. And they're smart enough to be able to trick you. Use extreme caution in trial environments where imposters have been inserted. In rare cases, imposters have managed to steal clothing from Signala staff, taking on the appearance of scientists or security. In environments with active imposters, it's always a good idea to say hello to your colleague. If they return a hello without moving their lips, or appear to be giggling without smiling, it's advised to maintain a safe distance. So, yeah, there have been cases where these fuckers have snuck out and have almost tricked fucking staff. That's hilarious. Now we got the Berserkers. Archetype, blind, rage, patients repurposed from a prison experiment and weaponized syphilis. We've compensated for blindness and distortion with physical strength and extreme aggression. Disorientation and with physical strength and extreme aggression. Oh no, I'm scared to read this augmentation. After engineered strain of syphilis resulted in blindness and dementia, patients were relocated to Los Alamos for further development as zero-sight assets. Steel pins have been surgically inserted into sensitive skin areas in order to increase tactile awareness. Berserkers have been developed for close-quarters combat in anticipation of urban jungle warfare in the developing communist arena. Considerable resources have been put into amplifying Berserker strength and size via hormone and limb lengthening therapy. Pending deployment, Berserkers are being temporarily utilized at Signala on assurance of minimal damage. Metal plates have been securely bolted to the patients' faces to deter self-mutilation. Berserkers seem to have found some sort of enlightenment at the extremes of pain, adding unexpected legitimacy to Dr. Wernicke's Los Alamos theories of the lateral ascension. The central tenet of that enlightenment, however, seems to be in worship of violence against others. It could be considered a form of evangelism. Did I fucking cut my arm? I think I pinched my arm sitting on it or something. Berserkers seem to have found some sort of enlightenment at the extremes of pain. Oh, wait, I already read that. They do not seem to have an unreasonable anonymity toward their ruined eyes. Patients sometimes obsessively pick at their own eyes and then the cavities beneath until they have sufficiently damaged their frontal lobes to essentially self-lobotomize. Addition to metal plates has all but eliminated such activity. Signala staff is encouraged not to engage Berserkers in conversation or to listen too closely to the self-directed diatribes. Previously healthy staff have been observed engaging in self-harm following prolonged exposure to Berserkers. That's fucking scary. Pushers, shaman, former Signala staff, driven to psychosis by chemical exposure, along with proximity to trial populations. A rare example of permissiveness from Dr. Easterman, pushers are equipped with basic aerosolized medication equipment, but are encouraged to develop their own psychoactive compounds and exercise more in the art than the science of drug use. Their evolving amphetamine hallucinogen mixture has managed to stay one step ahead of reagents acquired drug tolerance, and proven a remarkable partner in achieving truly remarkable states of psychosis. Damn. Pushers have been slipped into their delusional state by a perceived relationship with the so-called Skinner man, somewhere between that of a child with an over-affectionate uncle or trusted priest. Pushers exhibit the pseudo-bulbar effect, paradoxal laughter, sometimes to such an extent that breathing is effective. Doctor's notes: the pusher archetype is a reminder to all Murkoff staff and visitors to maintain strict security protocols and maintain hygiene. The pusher archetype is also a reminder that every accident is also an opportunity for innovation. Yeah, do your fucking job, but if you don't do your job, we can still use you. Oh, fuck. Night Hunters. Oh, this is a long one. It's mostly an augmentation, it looks like. Military volunteers whose surgical night vision augmentation has inspired grandiose delusions, including identification as figure from myth, or a new and nocturnally predaceous species of sapiens. The technology has its roots in paperclip science, based in a second-generation Vampyr system. It was developed as a Wunderwaffe late in World War II, still relying on an infrared light source, chest-mounted. Vision, in addition, additionally augmented with photocathode elements, and direct pain stimulation of the primary sensory areas of the cerebellum, along with the primary and secondary visual areas of the brain. Jesus. A necessary preconditioning of the Night Hunter patients includes a retinal isolation procedure, originally developed in cooperation with Aribert Heim, in which patients' eyeballs are immobilized with pins through the sclera, Jesus, until the muscle atrophy. The muscles atrophy. So that direct, undisturbed stimulation can be applied to the retina. As the entire head must move rather than the motion of the eye, autopsy of night hunters has shown significant enlargement of colliculi. God fucking damn. They literally are in a permanent state of night vision. Like, they can't blink. They can't close their eyes. And they can't move their eyeballs either. They have to turn their head to look where they want to look. Fuck. Beset by narcissism and manic depressive reaction, night hunters consider themselves perhaps literally superhuman. Records show that our since-deceased paperclip scientist in R&D may have been filling subjects' heads with Teutonic fairy tales and ghost stories. He seems to have infected hunters with both supernatural delusions and perhaps his Slavic accent. Doctor's notes. The Night Hunter system should allow similar light sensitivity to the night vision systems employed by reagents. As the intervening decade of technology has revealed significantly advanced photocathode surfaces that more than make up for the Night Hunter's additional augmentations. In testing, however, the Night Hunter... My voice is getting there. I'm straining it a bit now. I'm not going to lie. I got to push through like 3 more, I think. In testing, however, the Night Hunters perform at a significant advantage. This may be explained by what appears to be an immune response to the visual cortex, some unexpected interactions with the hardware. Okay, 2 more. We got the Molotovs, and we got the Jaeger. Ooh, I look forward to Jaeger. That one's one of the coolest ones. Rarely ever see it, though. It's kind of sad. It makes sense, though, because Jaeger's, like, fucked mechanically. Shit. Sorry if that sounds annoying. I need to get at least a little sip in, and I didn't take my water bottle out of the freezer soon enough, and so it's like uber fucking frozen. So it's not much to drink out of it. I got a little sippy though. Molotovs. Shaman to a pagan god of fire. They see military scientific advancement in thermal weaponry and bombing as evidence of fire's deification. Augmentations. They have been encouraged to improvise fire bombs, hence the name Molotov, of course referencing Molotov cocktails. Each carrier carries a 6-gallon gasoline tank. The Molotov's face mask includes a high-pressure nozzle at the mouth for spitting flame and discouraging further ingestion of fuel. Doctors have given them only minimal chemical and hormonal support for their therapy. Speech is all but impossible, as every Molotov has a severely damaged larynx from the past, dedicated imbibing of gasoline and or denatured alcohol. Entrance interviews revealed a dedicated fixation on napalm and similar incendiary technologies. Subjects have witnessed or dreamed of the widespread wartime use of napalm, especially in Korea and Japan. Could be personally responsible for thousands or tens of thousands of civilian deaths. Yeah, so these guys were like psychos, like real fucking psychos. I mean, they took joy in slaughtering hundreds of people in war. Wow. Subsequent post-trial study has been more difficult with the subject's loss of speech. They exhibit a powerfully hypocritical juxtaposition of serving and commanding fire as a god, displays deeply masochistic gratitude for pain caused by burns and distinct distaste for human contact, conflates the consuming action of fire with the passage of time. And finally we get Jaeger, the most recent one. Relentless Hunter. Inexorable death. The Jaeger is assigned a target reagent and will steadily track that reagent until dead. History. A twice repurposed reagent, Henrietta Grubbs, was originally interred at the Signala facility as a patient of Lathe 2 therapy. After severe physical trauma and a display of remarkable resilience, Miss Grubbs was given hormonal treatment and osteotomy and reintroduced into the trials as Heavy X-Pop. After demonstrating a lack of susceptibility to the influence of prime assets, Miss Grubbs again experienced remarkable physical trauma and, presumed dead, was sent to biohazard processing where she managed to survive for months, even after her food source was cut off, following the events surrounding the escape of Amelia Collier. Miss Grubbs' survival was discovered, and she was further improved to her current form. The Jaeger is fitted with extensive external fixators, screwed into the bone. They offer support, but more importantly, restrict the bones from additional growth, a side effect of hormonal treatment and trauma therapy. Extensive acromegaly is still visible. The Jaeger has a broadcast receiver installed in her headpiece through which instructions and guidance can be offered. The target assigned. Oh, so by the way, Henrietta Grubbs, this is lore that I'm sure will come up later, but I happen to know about it now. There's a character in this game who is a reagent like you, and she gives you like upgrades, like hush hush. I've been smuggling shit from within the trials, and I've made useful tools for you. I've given you can purchase some of these tools from me. And she's been helping reagents that way. And she, at one point, was actually in a relationship with Henrietta Grubbs, and that's when Henrietta Grubbs got caught yeah. Anyway, a perfect example of the Signala paradox. The Jaeger seems to be finding some comfort in hopelessness. Her fixation on a single target shows a striking correlation with activity in the medial prefrontal cortex, similar to MPVC activity seen in a person viewing a potential mate. The Jaeger appears to be longing for some unattainable love. Oh my god, that is so fucking sad. Please, doctor's note, please correct any staff referring to the Jaeger as Miss Lonely Heart, as it risks contaminating scientific objectivity in observing scientists. Well, there you go. That's all the X-Pop stuff. Next up, we have the American Century. We got, dude, there's so much. There's so much. This one was the longest one. This one took a while to get through. Yeah, I remember this one. Yeah, this is when he's kind of small dose of lysergic acid self-administered. This fucker took acid. I mean, what else are you gonna do out in New Mexico, right? But yeah, so that's these first three done, and then we got all this. All that. I'll try to get more documents. I'm not missing as many now. We're missing, let's see, 3, 5, 6, 9. Oh, wait, no. 8, 9, 16. We're missing 16. I can easily get 16. That is not hard to get. Especially with the new X-ray. Oh my god, the new X-ray is so nice. Anyhoot. It's 10 o'clock now. I'm tired because I've been constantly talking out loud, reading this fucking shit. So my voice is strained. It's 10. I got stuff to do tomorrow. So, thank y'all for watching. If anybody did end up watching, I'll be streaming again. I'm enjoying doing this. I'm enjoying really digging into this game. But have a good day or night or whatever the fuck it is. Goodbye.